This is Lecture 2 for Class 6. In this lecture, we will review the patterns of publication for regulations and how Keysight can help you verify and update the law. Federal regulations appear in the Code of Federal Regulations, but they are updated by a publication called the Federal Register. Every year, the final rules in the Code of Federal Regulations are adopted first in the Federal Register and then republished in the CFR, so that you might find them more easily by topic. This means there will be a time gap between the CFR section and its next publication cycle that can only be filled by reviewing the Federal Register. This is true whether you're looking at the CFR online or in print. You will need to check the Federal Register in order to update the section. Fortunately, Westlaw Next's Keysight can help you make that leap very easily. Let's look at 33 CFR Section 175.15 concerning personal flotation devices. See that it has a red flag, Adopted Regulation. This is a warning to let you know something significant has happened to our regulation. You must stop and investigate. Updating federal regulations differs from updating the United States Code. If we scroll down to the bottom of this regulation, we can see that the database is up to date as of September 18, 2014. Under Credits, you'll see the history of the regulation. This last amendment showing is from 2003. So why the red flag? If we click on the History tab in Westlaw Next Keysight feature, we can look at the different versions of the regulation and check its validity. By clicking on Validity, we see that there was a former proposed regulation that did not get adopted, and there is one document that says it is an adopted regulation. And if we click on it, we find out that this was a September 22, 2014 amendment to the CFR. This was published in the Federal Register, and because the CFR is only published once a year, it has not appeared in the text language of the Code of Federal Regulations. In addition to republishing the final rule, the entry in the Federal Register will also provide supplementary information that tells you about why the change was made and what was driving it. There will be a regulatory analysis. And finally, there will be a list of sections affected in the CFR, including our Chapter 175. Finally, the new language is reprinted. And instead of using the Code of Federal Regulations to support your analysis, you would be citing back to the Federal Register and using this language. In addition to Keysight, there are other ways to track regulations. The U.S. government provides regulations.gov, and you can search this site by either browsing the different agencies and viewing their proposed rulemaking activity as well as their final rule adoptions. And you can search either by keyword or by CFR section. If you use the advanced search, you can also limit your results to proposed rules, new rules, or if you want to see the comments that public have submitted about the rulemaking, you can check that selection off and run your search. Here is an example of the public comments that were made about the changes to 33 CFR 175.15. In Hawaii, the regulations are published in the Hawaii Administrative Rules and is sometimes referred to as the Hawaii Administrative Code. The code is updated by the Hawaii Government Register. The Hawaii Government Register is not part of the Westlaw Next database set. Let's look at section 124-2 of Title 13. This is a definition section. I want to draw your attention to the top of the section where you would normally find the history and validity information, as well as interpreting information. Notice that the tabs are all dark. There's very little information here that Westlaw Next can provide us with. If we go down to the bottom of the section, where we will see the credits as well as the currency statement, we see that there were 3 versions of this regulation. The original one in 1982, amended in 1986, and again in 1998. And we see that the Hawaii Administrative Rules database was most recently updated by Westlaw Next through August of 2014. However, we do not see any proposed amendments to this regulation. I'd just like you to note the chapter number is 124, and this regulation comes out of the Department of Land and Natural Resources, Forest and Wildlife Division. Rather than just relying on Westlaw Next, you might want to check the agency's websites or the Lieutenant Governor's site that keeps track of proposed changes to regulations in Hawaii. From the Lieutenant Governor's website, if we open up the Office Services, the first link will take us to the Administrative Rules. From here, we can scroll down to the appropriate title that we're interested in, the Department of Land and Natural Resources. And then from here, you will see information about the public notices they provide for rulemaking, as well as any draft rule changes. If we scroll down to the Division of Forestry and Wildlife, we can access their rules, and we can also access on the far right-hand side proposed changes to the language for chapters 122, 123, and 124. We can look at the draft by opening it, and we'll see the language that this agency would like to add, it's underlined, and the language that it would like to remove, which has a strike through. These proposed changes to the rules are not evident in Keysight and not available through Westlaw Next. So the lesson here is to continue your research if you're tracking rules and would like to see what agencies are doing by going to the agency website or visiting the rules under the Lieutenant Governor's website. This concludes the lectures for Class 6.